Training efficiency comes from focusing on the lifts that give the most return on your effort. And the efficiency of even your time. Compound movements are going to build the base, the foundation, isolation, exercising, fill in the gaps. Having variation keeps your body balanced, meaning that on, say, push days or chest days, you can do bench press on sometimes, but maybe dumbbells on others, or bands on others, or body weight on other days, to have some variation and doing different angles and positions of the hands, the elbows, the rotations of the hands. This makes a difference in how your body trains and allows you to build more strength and more muscle mass in key areas. Welcome to Driven for Health. I'm your host, Coach Brian Prana, and we're diving into the next level of the strength pyramid. If you've been following along, which I hope you have, we've covered adherence. Then that was episode 17. Episode 18 was BIF, meaning volume, intensity, frequency. Episode 19 was progression. Each layer of the pyramid builds on top of the other one to help you train smarter, more efficient, more effective, spend your time wisely in the gym and in just the time that you have available, which is most important, or even with the equipment that you have. And I have to say, after recording these episodes, I feel like my squat is going up just by talking about it. Now, I haven't squatted a lot of weight. I've referenced that 325 was my best squat. I was very proud of that. I've come from a long running background. I've ran under 3 hours in the marathon. And there you go. I haven't spent a lot of time on my squats. But working up to that, I felt great. I have no idea where my squat max is at this moment in time, which is fine. It's not as relevant. No one's ever asked me actually how much I squat, to be honest. I mean, I guess in my CrossFit days they would, but nowadays no one cares in their 40s how much you squat. I guess if you're at a bro gym, maybe, but where I'm at now, nope, it's not important. So, but my squat's getting stronger just by talking about this, joking aside. The pyramid is built to help you understand what truly drives your results. It gives you a system to organize your training. Really, I want you to perform better. I want you to stay healthy, right? Joint health, muscle health, body health, energy health, and keep progressing for years to come. Before we start, just want to give a quick shout out to my client, John. He's 62 years old. He's been crushing it on Theory. And we decided before he joined Orange Theory, he wasn't working out at all. He'd go to Planet Fitness, but he thought he knew what he was doing and working out, and he had no idea. I introduced him to the exercise pyramid, introduced him to that nutrition period, most importantly. The guy dropped 60 pounds. I'll probably have him on as a testimony on the podcast at some point to share his story of how he's juggled all the things in life, from being a father, a grandparent, a husband, obviously important there in the equation, a business owner, and how he let his health slide by letting his belly grow. And we were able to come together. He thought he knew what he was doing, and he didn't. And we decided that Orange Theory would be a great place for him to do strength training. And he does strength training at Planet Fitness as well. And we have him on a periodization schedule and routine when he is at the weight gym, the weight room, the weight floor inside Planet Fitness. It's just a great example of what staying active looks like long term. So in fact, I probably will just have him on maybe even the next episode to share his story. And then we'll resume the strength pyramid. All right, recapping previous levels. Level 1 is adherence. consistency over time is the most important thing in all of these areas. Doing the right techniques, the right habits, right behaviors that create success for you long term. You have to have a plan to fit your life. You have to do exercises that you enjoy. You have to look forward to exercising, not necessarily every day, but most days you should. The best program is one you can repeat week in and week out without burning out. My adherence level is scheduling workouts with my buddy Chris or my buddy Dan. It's a lot of fun. We actually watched Predator during our workout session. The first Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger was awesome. And then I have a TV in my barn that we watch music videos to, and every once in a while we'll watch a movie. We're watching Fight Club now as well. So it really gets the juices flowing. I watched all, 6 Rockies with Levi. And then we also watched all 3 Creeds. He'd never seen it. He's 16. He really didn't have the exposure to it. We watched that while we worked out. It was awesome. It took a couple weeks to get through it, but it was sweet. We did it this summer. All right, level 2, I digress. Level 2 was volume, intensity, and frequency. Volume, intensity, and frequency. Very important. These control how your body adapts to the training. Intensity is building strength. You must lift heavy. For muscle growth, moderate rates of 6 to 12 rep range usually work very well as well. So again, we classified those. Lower reps, higher weight strength. Moderate weights, medium reps, muscle mass. Volume, more training volume creates more stimulus. Right? You're going to get the muscle to be stimulated and break it down to be able to build it back up. And doing too much volume actually slows down progress. You have to stay within the boundaries of where your body's physically at, what your recovery rate is, especially what your nutrition is to coincide with the training. Most intermediate lifters see the best results in that rep range of 40 to 70 per muscle group for each session, trained at least once, but ideally 2, possibly 3 times, depending on what your split is in the week. Frequency. If a workout feels too long, recovery becomes difficult. You spread the work over more sessions if we need to be able to do that. And the goal is to be recovered well and keep improving. I love this as well. This simple phrase of, can I work out tomorrow? It helps keep this blend of intensity, volume, and frequency in check. Level 3 was progression. That was our last episode. The rate of progression should match your training experience. Newer lifters can add weight and reps quickly. Experienced lifters need more structure, more routine, possibly more deloads, different rates of testing, tracking your weights, of course, to keep progress moving forward. Level 4 is exercise selection. And that's what we're talking about today. It's how to choose the exercises that are going to make the biggest impact for you and your body. Right? We want to change the body physically. When you take your shirt off, you say, wow, I feel amazing. I'm in some of the best shape that I've been in years. The key idea here is that progress is specific to the movement you train. If you leg press, you get better at leg pressing. If you squat, you get better at squatting. If you bench, you get better at benching. You have to train the movements and the movement patterns to be able to improve. Research shows that strength gains happen in specific movement pattern that you practice. That means that if your goal is to improve a certain lift, most of your training should be based around that lift. Okay? A good rep range is half to 3/4 of your total training volume. Okay. For that particular rep, it's gonna that particular exercise is gonna take out the majority of the workout there. Skills of learning exercise and muscle hypertrophy. When you're learning new exercise, your body first develops coordination and control. Think of the first time you ever bench, if you can remember that. You probably was really wiggly and uncontrolled, or even the first time you tried to do a dip. It was probably awkward. During this period, you're training your nervous system more than, say, your muscles to get into the firing sequences that your nervous system needs to be able to control your muscles and activate the strength that's inside them. A study comparing leg press and bicep curls found that the biceps grew faster earlier because the movement was simpler. There's only one joint moving at your elbow to squeeze the small muscle of the bicep, whereas the leg press took longer for muscle growth because there's so many more joints, so much more coordination, so many more muscle groups. If you are constantly switching exercise, you stay in that learning phase potentially longer and actually could slow down potential progress by doing that. If you are early on, maybe stick with a couple of the big muscle movements: bench press, squats, presses, pull-ups, deadlifts. Those would be perfect for your long-term progress before you start differentiating until you build some strength at some point and you start seeing strength go up, muscle mass pack onto the body. Now, at the same time, you should not train only one exercise forever. There's a study that compared Smith machine squats with a mixed routine of squats, lunges, deadlifts, and leg presses. It found that using multiple lower body movements improved both strength and balance the growth out. Of course, we're going to want to do that. My programming, we haven't done back squats in a while. I have a Smith machine. If you've seen my Instagram, every once in a while I'll post what my podcast setup looks like, or if I'm releasing a new podcast episode on what it is. And we actually use the Smith machine for squats quite a bit now instead of back squats. And we do a hex bar deadlift, doing regular deadlifts, doing Romanian deadlift styles. And that's been super helpful to differentiate what we're doing, but also keep it easier on the body. My main takeaway when I work out is I do want to be able to work out tomorrow. I don't want to be so sore or beaten up that I feel older than I actually am at 42. I do not want my low back hurting. Lifting over 300 pounds doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for me. Sure, I'd want to be strong, but I'm plenty capable. I can do reps at 225, no problem. And that's sufficient enough. If I have to lift something over 300 pounds, I'm going to recruit my kid to help me. That's just the way it is. Because he's 16 and my other one's 14, almost 15 here in about a little over a month. However, it'll be 15, excuse me. All right. So we keep the main lifts going, and you still need some variation to develop different parts of the muscle mass anyways, muscle groups, different ranges, say incline, regular bench, or flat bench could be an easy example of that. Comparing compound and isolation movements. Compound lifts should make up the majority of your training. Funny enough, my son Levi must have known I was going to be talking about this because he asked me, even literally last night, I don't understand exercise programming. He just hasn't been exposed to it. He always asks me for a workout, and I give it to him when he works out on his own. Actually, not tomorrow. It's Thursday, but the day after is Friday, and I actually probably going to wake up at 5 to work out with him before he goes into school. And when we come out here to the barn, that's where I'm at, I will actively help coach teach him what is happening there. in the workout that we do. We're going to do back, bicep type stuff. I'm probably going to do some more legs and calves that day too, because that's my prerogative. I want to make sure I get legs in twice this week. Now, going back to compound lifts, think of squats, deadlifts, presses, rows. They have several muscle groups that are firing all at once, multiple joints, usually 2 or 3, that are working in the process. And this creates a lot of movement, a lot of calories burned in the time that you have. If you have lots of time, then isolation, you can do way more of that. Even single arm or single leg type exercises can definitely fill your exercise regimen because of that factor. All right. These are going to be curls, extensions, other targeted areas that really help address weak points or add volume where it's needed, but they shouldn't take over the main part of your programming. Just think of it. If you went to the gym and you just did arms and abs, and because you wanted bigger biceps, you always did arms and abs, well, there's not a lot of muscle mass, and there's not a lot of calories that are going to get burned, and not necessarily a lot of change is going to happen in your body overall from lifting weights. We do also want to address weak points. These occasionally show up in your body and your muscles and in the muscle growth or the strength. If you are training for muscle size, as an example, we need to find that balance of strength and muscle connection to be able to stimulate growth inside the muscle belly. Maybe your triceps take over your bench press, or biceps take over your back work. We need to maybe adjust grips, change range of motion, or maybe just add targeted work to help those different areas grow. Think of, I talked about long partials the other day. That could be a really useful tool in your exercise toolbox to strengthen a bench or strengthen a back, where you're focusing on the back muscles to do the work, not the arms to finish the rep. And say rowing, you do the first half of the exercise and you're going to really pinch your shoulder blades together and pull hard with your lats and pinch your rhomboids in the back there. And then you're not going to finish all the way inward. It start to increase the amount of bicep action that you'd be going there. All right. If the goal is strength, then weak points are going to show up in different parts of the actual lift itself. Say in a deadlift or a squat, you might have some form breakdown at different points of the movement that then force you to shift your technique and then be ultimately challenged to get to finish and complete the lift. That's not great. If your deadlift slips out of your hands, that is generally just a great rule that the bar's too heavy for you. Okay. Certainly you could use grips and straps, but if you're relying on those because your forearms aren't strong enough, that's a clear weak point. And most people would say, hey, build up your grip strength so that you can hold the bar, and that's going to be in alignment with what your body's actually physically capable of. Now, of course, if you're a beast and you can deadlift over 400 pounds, then you might need to have grips regardless, either way. But if you're not, then you should consider focusing on strengthening your grip. Now, if your squats is another example, folds you forward as you bring up. You get to the bottom of the squat with your thighs parallel, or maybe hip crease slightly below the knee. And as you come up, your hips shoot up a little bit sooner than your low back does, leaning your shoulders forward and down as your hips rise. This is a problem. We need to bring your quads up with maybe more front squats or specific leg presses. If you wanted to target quads on the leg press, and we're going to go a narrow stance and your feet closer to the bottom of the platform that you're doing it on. That will target your quads a lot more. If your bench press hurts your shoulders, try lowering the frequency of the amount of reps and sets you do, or the amount of times in the week that you do bench, and supplement with dumbbells or close grip pressing. The goal is to find where your limits are and then strengthen that to then get stronger. What's the most common constraint that you're dealing with that you need to address? That's so important. Practical application. How do we apply this information? Well, if strength is your goal, around half or 3/4 of your total training volume should come from your main lifts. Think of if you're going to do 100 reps as an easy example, then 50 to 75% reps of the workout are going to come in the main lifts, and then the other 25 or 50 could come from the auxiliary. The rest always is associated with the amount of work that you're doing to support the lifts. Going more strength, you need 2 or 3, possibly even up to 5-minute rest, depending on how crazy strong or hard you're going. And if we're into hypertrophy, it's a little bit different. If that is your goal, use 1 or 2 compound lifts for each muscle group, then add 1 or 3 accessory movements that support full or balanced development. And again, this is one of my favorite setups, is having 3 major muscle movements with an auxiliary. I think that is a very suitable, easy way to allow you to build muscle, get a lot of oomph out of the workout that you're doing, and it really gives you a lot of bang for the buck when you're there. Now, we want to make sure that either way you're developing balance in your training and you're mastering the movements with proper technique, most importantly. We look at efficiency and periodization. Training efficiency comes from focusing on the lifts that give the most return on your effort. And the efficiency of in your time. Compound movements are going to build the base, the foundation. Exercises can fill in the gaps. And having variation keeps your body balanced. So meaning that on, say, push days or chest days, you can do bench press on sometimes, but maybe dumbbells on others, or bands on others, or body weight on other days, to have some variation and doing different angles and positions of the hands, the elbows, the rotations of the hands. This makes a difference in how your body trains and allows you to build more strength and more muscle mass in key areas. Just know that too much variety isn't necessarily always the best thing, and you never actually address weak points in your weightlifting game, so to speak. Goals: find steady process, a rhythm to get efficiency and progress happening. We go back to periodization. Again, that helps us stay organized. It allows you to start with more variety and accessory work during general phases. And think of, say, the first 4 to 6 to 8 weeks could be a general strength training. Then we can work on speed or strength specific, where you're changing the rep range or even the tempo, which we'll get into later, to get different responses back from your muscles. All right. We want to have specific lifts. We want to go in planned. We want to go in prepared, have a good idea of what exercise selection looks like best for you. Again, using major muscle groups first, then isolation works second. You don't have to get too fancy with all these other crazy workouts or routines or whatever else that they've come up with throughout the last couple decades of exercise, just trying to make it fun, different. think of, say, Men's Health magazine. Sometimes they can get a little varied in their exercise creation. But when it's all said and done, if you benched with dumbbells or presses or push-ups, you did shoulder press, you did a pull-down or lat pull-down, you did legs as a squat and a deadlift, you're going to be super fit, super functional, and just stay consistent. Well, that's it for our exercise selection portion. We're going to go into the fast 5 questions. If someone's short on time, what's the best 3 exercise combination for total body strength? This is number 1. If you are pressed for time, I'd go with squats, pull-ups, and dumbbell presses. The squat's going to train your lower body and your core. Pull-ups are going to hit your back, your arms, and your core too, right? If you bend your knees up a little bit and engage them, they definitely hit the core. You'll feel it. And dumbbell presses cover your chest and your shoulders. Say an incline press would be phenomenal. Then you're hitting not only all the muscle parts, but even movement patterns of a vertical and horizontal pulling motions. They cover all your muscle groups. They move your body in full range of motion, keep your heart rate up. And if you did those consistently for a year, you'll get a huge change in response in your body, and you will stay healthy. You'll stay joint healthy because you're balanced. Too many guys just always go to International Chest Day on Mondays and never do legs or back because they can't see their back, so why train the back? You just got to train the chest and the biceps. All right, question number 2. What's one movement most men over 40 should stop avoiding in the gyms? A lot of guys avoid them because of fear of injury, but if you learn the proper hinge technique, it's one of the best things that you can do for your spine, your posture, for your strength, your functionality. You will have to pick things up off the ground the rest of your life. Form is key. You got to be controlled, and you need to leave the ego at the door no matter what you do. Once you figure out that hip hinge safety and understand how to do it, you'll definitely notice better performance in everything you're picking up from your kids to carrying groceries without pain. And I deadlifted yesterday. It's just part of the hex bar deadlift. I just do a rep range that's appropriate for me. Number 3, how often should someone actually change up their exercises? Well, most people change exercises too often. We don't want to get willy-nilly. But if you do a traditional strength training protocol, it's going to go 8 to 12 weeks of following a program and then changing the exercises. Why? Because then you spend a lot of time developing that muscle connection, the movement patterns, the nervous system is firing on all cylinders, and you'll see consistent strength programming in that process, which is important. I do like a little bit more variety than doing that, but I am consistently always doing chest exercises, back exercises, leg exercises, shoulder exercises in my training. Number 4, what's your favorite way to fix a weak point in a main lift? Me, start by identifying where the breakdown happens. This is exclusive to every single thing I ever do with anyone. Why did someone eat the candy bar? Why did someone make a bad choice around food? Why did someone stay up late? Why did someone do this? Why did they make this choice? Why did they do a push-up and they got down but they couldn't get back up, or whatever? We got to find where the breakdown is happening, and that's when we can find the solution. If your deadlift falls at the top, we need to strengthen your glutes as an example. If your bench stalls halfway, we need to focus on building some triceps to finish the movement off all the way up. Then isolate that weakness with a lot of accessory work for those key areas while still trying to keep the main lift in your program. You would just do extra accessory work after you're done with your main stuff. This is about balance. Other ways you can do it, adding paused reps or tempo work that help create a little bit of variety, but also focused effort. And question number 5. If you could only do one lower body exercise for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Squats, right? What else do you think I was going to say? Step ups or something, or the inner thigh machine? Silly enough. We're not going to do that. But squats, it's the most bang for your buck. It's the king of all exercises. Great leg strength, core stability, mobility, range of motion, joint health, and it challenges your body in so many different ways. That would be it. The second one for me personally, I love pull-ups. I would do lots of pull-ups. Well, want to thank you for that and shift into wrapping these things up. Now, I do have a 30 tips in 30 days sequence in the email that you can have free for you. It's going to give you simple, easy, actionable tips around fitness, around nutrition, around exercise, around recipes, around any different things that make it easy. From coaching thousands of people for 23 years, I've tried to break it down into easy, simple tips. Here you'll learn how to eat smarter, move better, build daily routines that actually work. Just clear steps you put to work right away. To join the list, it'll certainly be in the show notes, but go.brianprana.com/30 days. And this will start building a healthier, happier, more confident you. I want to thank you for listening to Driven for Our Health. This is our 20th episode. I'm super proud that I was able to get here and even do it so fast in under 6 weeks. And I really enjoy doing the podcast, and I hope you do too. Please comment and let me know what other topics you'd love to cover, and I will add them to my list. I already have the next 10 literally structured out on what I want to talk about, and I want to get to over 100 episodes with this podcast, and all it's going to take is a little bit of time and a whole lot of talking. Now, if any of my episodes help you and you think they might help someone else, share them with a friend. That'd be awesome. Well, next episode we are going to go and talk with John about his progress. Literally, I worked with the guy and he's made amazing progress. So you'll hear his story and what he's doing and how he's doing it. And then we're going to get to the next level of this pyramid on level number 5. This is level 4. But level 5 of the pyramid, which is rest periods. We'll talk about how they affect both strength, your growth, your recovery. I'm Coach Brian Prana signing off. Build that muscle, burn that fat.